106.5 FM, KCAA Loma Linda.
A beautiful Sunday. Last week we had a couple guests on our show, and it was a pretty intense story.
pretty
And I'm not
intense.
gonna lie, I had a lot of people listening, and I was very nervous. I actually
Yeah.
went back and re-listened to the podcast, and it was pretty bad. But with like an interview like that, like how serious that is,
It's
you know?
definitely a lot to unpack.
Yeah. And for those of you who are listening and you're like, what happened last week? Who was on the show? It was a lady. Her name is Cassidy. And when she was 6 years old, her whole family got murdered by her mom. And she got shot in the stomach, but she was the only person that survived.
Yeah.
And I had her on the show, her husband, and also the police officer who first arrived on scene. So if you guys want to go back and listen to that story, she talked about her healing process. She talked about forgiving her mom and, the point of view of the police officer, Steve. You guys can go back and listen to it on Spotify, Apple Music, our website, kcaaradio.com, and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But before we get started, Kyle, you know what time it is. It's sponsor time.
Our sponsor tonight is snjradio.com. No negative news, no politics, just feel good music.
There you go. So, Kyle, how's your
Sam.
week, dude?
My week was good.
Yeah,
I didn't get a lot of sleep, but it was pretty good.
that's good. Have you
Yeah.
done anything exciting lately?
Exciting lately. I mean, I went on a couple dates, but one of them was okay. The other one was like really bad.
Just complete trash, huh?
Yeah.
You want to talk about it? I know Joe. He's really keen and listening right now. He's like, tell me about this date.
Which one? Which one do you want to hear about?
If it bleeds, it leads. So let's talk about the trashy
bad
one.
one?
Yeah.
So the bad one I had was on Saturday, not yesterday, but the Saturday before. Invited this girl out. She's like, "Hey, let's go to the museum. Let's go get some food." And
What museum?
The Riverside Art Museum.
Oh, okay.
And it went really bad. Like it took me half an hour to get there. She was talking a big game about getting food afterwards, and then seeing what happens. Maybe going and watching a movie, something. Just something. And I get there, and there's like nothing in the art museum right now. There was like a few pictures. There's some good content. There just wasn't a lot. It was like 10 minutes. And afterwards, I was like, okay, where do you want to go eat? And she's like, oh, I'm about to leave, actually. I just called Uber. I was like, oh.
So the total drive time was 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You're at the museum for 10 minutes, and then she says, I ordered an Uber.
Yeah.
Like she just wanted to leave.
Yeah. Yep, that was it. So I
Dang.
was like, you know what?
Didn't she say she was hungry?
Yeah, I asked her. I was like, are you still hungry? She's like, no. I was like, oh.
Dang, just cold and short with you, huh?
Yeah. And I mean, I get the DMs that say different. But
That's so funny. Okay, but you got redemption, right? You went on another date with a different woman, I hope.
yeah,
And it
on
turned out
Monday.
pretty good.
But so my Saturday, as everyone knows, I'm a slot technician. So we just hired a whole bunch of new people. Well, one of them was having a birthday party at Big Al's. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go crash the party. End up showing up, have fun.
Big Al's is the place that we went to, right?
Yeah.
In Ontario?
I don't know where this place came from. I just started hearing of it.
Yeah, just randomly popped up, huh?
Just like spawned.
Interesting. Well, recently, I've been to LA, and you know how we had that author of the girl
That's
that was
right.
talking about
That's
like 50
right.
things.
Yeah.
Well, one of them was the swan boats.
Oh, you went on the swan boat?
Bro, I went on the swan boats.
With who?
I went with a friend, and dude, honestly, we had a blast.
Yeah.
And it was funny because like you were pedaling, right?
Yeah. Isn't that number one in the book?
I don't think it's number one, but it's definitely one of the first couple couple ones.
Yeah.
So we went at night, which was cool because they had lights like on the side of the swan boat.
Oh, yeah.
So you can like the lights make it look like a swan,
Yeah.
It was really cool. And there was this huge fountain that shoots up water about, I want to say like maybe 40 to 50 feet in the air.
Dang.
And then you see LA, like all the buildings and stuff. Amazing view. Actually, that's it right there, dude.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's really cool.
That's nice.
Yeah. And so, we're pedaling, and you're not going anywhere. It's so slow.
Oh yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And there's a lot of people there. There's like probably I want to say like 15 swan boats out in the water.
Well, that's cool.
And me and my friend we're paddling along, and then I look at a couple and like, hey, you guys want to race? And I was like, all right, let's race, because we ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
And so they're like, okay, where to? I was like, past the water fountain, right? And they're like, oh, you want to go around the water fountain? I was like, if that's what you guys want, we can do that, So we're pedaling, we're going nowhere, and like your thighs are burning,
Yeah.
But we're in the inside. We took the inside, so when we're going around the water fountain, we're kind of like cutting the corner, Like they would have to pedal faster to keep up with us.
Yeah.
So we took like the shortcut in a sense. However, we got soaked because that water just falling down on our side,
Yeah.
So even though we won the race, I don't know who really won, because they stayed dry and we got wet,
Yeah.
So that was pretty fun. I had an exciting time doing that. And then
So how much is the swan boat? Is it for like an hour or what? How much is
it's an hour,
It's an hour.
and I think it's like $12.
That's pretty good.
Dude, it was awesome.
Yeah.
And it's in like it was a really cool spot. And we went at night, and there was a bunch of ducks too, so you're like trying to like swim with the ducks,
That's funny.
It was pretty cool. But you have to wear like life jackets, and there's enough to seat 5 people.
Okay.
So there's 2 people pedaling on both sides, and then there's like a room to fit like 3 kids in the back, or like 2, average sized people in the back. So I had a good time there. And then I've been getting a lot of ramen lately. Like people are always like, hey, you want to get some ramen? I'm like, why is everyone getting a ramen nowadays?
Yeah.
So I've been traveling, going to different ramen places here and there.
Okay.
And there's some really good ones out there.
What's the best out there?
You know what? It's the one I went to recently. I would have to ask, because I'm really bad at this. If you're like, hey, we're gonna go do this, like we're gonna go hiking, go to a waterfall, I'm like, great. Or we're gonna go eat somewhere. I never like, oh, what's the place called? Like, da da da. I really don't get the details. I just go.
Yeah.
And then I kind of like, oh man, what was that place? I gotta like text that person, like,
Yeah.
hey, that place that we went to, So like, if you ask me about the swan boats, like that's the only thing I know. Like, I don't know the name of it where you can go. It's just, but I'm sure you can just look it up, swan boats,
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I had a good time, and it would have been really nice if you get to see like stars, because that would have been
cool.
that would have been amazing.
There's a lot of light pollution though.
Yeah, there is. It's pretty crazy. So I pulled up these questions online, and there's some pretty good ones. So we're just gonna go through them. We have some time, so we might as
We have a lot
well.
of time. Let's go.
What made you smile today?
What made me smile today? Definitely seeing you with me at church.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That-
You finally coming to church with me. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good.
because I know Mark. He the other day he was like, "Hey, you want to come to church with me this week?" I was like, "No," not rudely. I just made it sound like it was rude. But I was like, I haven't been to my church in like 3 weeks, because I went to your church, and then I went to his church, your church, and I was bouncing around. And I was like, I'm going to go to my church this week. And then I was coming home this morning, and I was thinking about you, and I was thinking about the church, and then you called me. And then you're like, you want to go to church with me today? I was like, I will go to church with you, because I went there last week, but you weren't there.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, this week I'll go with him. And it's a totally different vibe from last week.
It is. Yeah.
So the 931 is a little more
Yeah.
traditional, slower music, like hymnals and stuff. But what made me smile today, honestly, was at church. It was the last song, and everyone like playing their music and like just jamming out.
Yeah.
Like you can feel the energy. They were so like excited to perform this song.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is all right. Like, this is pretty cool. Like,
yeah.
it was really hard for anyone to like not, bob
Right,
their
yeah,
head with the
yeah.
beat and stuff. And I thought it was pretty cool that the pastor, he did something different. He was like anyone, like stand up and say like, what is God telling you?
Yeah.
What is God saying? And I mean, mine was simple, but it was from the heart. And
Yeah.
and I stood up, and all I said was, follow me and I'll take care of you.
Yeah.
And that's something that, my conscience has been saying to me over and over and over again for the past couple, like 2 years or so. you
Yeah.
know? And so like I've been trying to have him lead me, and it's it's my sister. Unfortunately, I'm on the show, so I'm not gonna answer that.
Well, tell her
Well,
to
you know
call
what? Hold on. Hey, Rhiannon, I'm doing my show right now on the air.
Okay.
So, for those of you listening,
Yeah.
my sister, where are you at right now?
I'm in Texas.
She's in Texas.
Texas.
Why are you in Texas?
I'm on duty.
You're on duty.
On duty
What
for
do you
what?
do? Yeah, what do you do?
On duty?
Yeah.
What's your occupation?
In the Coast Guard?
Coast Guard.
Nice. In the Coast Guard. All right.
Yeah. So there's always someone on the boat just in case anything happens.
Okay. Some
And
pirates.
Well, I just check on all the machinery every 4 hours.
Okay.
Make sure everything's good.
Nice. You want to hear a funny story? And I kind of want Kyle to tell it because it's actually his story. But
Okay.
Kyle, tell us about you ordered something online.
So this was a few years back, actually. This was I ordered a costume in like August.
A Halloween costume.
Yeah,
right?
Halloween costume, because I want to be like super prepared for everything, right?
It's a big year.
And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go all out this year. I don't normally do it. I have it off, so I'm just like, actually, you'll plan something. So I'm waiting. August, September, October comes. I still don't have it. I get a letter actually a week before Halloween, saying that it was the ship that had my costume was taken by pirates.
What was the costume?
It was a Jedi costume. It was really nice. It was pirate-
That would have been funny. A
And-
pirate costume, yeah.
So you
Yeah.
never got it?
So I never got it. I had to call this number on the paper, and the government gave me my money back.
Oh, nice.
But that probably took a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I don't remember what happened, but the letter went into details, like just roughly the events. Of course, they couldn't go into detail.
The pirates came
Yeah.
aboard and stole the ship.
They were like, yeah, well, the ship was taken, but we got the ship back. But a
Dang,
lot
we
of
got
the
the
stuff
ship
was-
back, but none of the cargo, huh? They probably just took all the cargo and then just left people on the boat.
yeah.
That's probably what happened.
Dang.
Yeah.
So there's a Jedi running around in Ethiopia or somebody. That's my costume.
Rhiannon, do you have any cool stories being in the Coast Guard
I do.
that you want to share or that you can share, or is it all classified?
That's the thing. I don't know if they're Well,
Oh,
I guess
hey, Rhiannon, I'm sorry.
Hmm.
Hang up and call us at 888-909-1050.
Wait, I need a pen and paper.
Just,
Write that down.
okay, 888
Okay.
909
Okay.
1050.
How long is your show till?
Until 7:55.
Oh, yeah, I forgot there's a time difference.
Yeah. So give us a call right now.
Okay.
All right.
Just text me it.
Rhiannon, 888-909-1050. Like,
Okay, 10:50.
yeah,
Oh, I can know.
yeah.
Okay.
888-909-1050.
Okay, I'll call you a little bit. I'll do a round real quick.
Okay, do your round.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So I'm about to text her. And honestly, that goes for anyone listening. If you guys want to call in and have talk about stories, or if you guys want to
anything with us.
talk trash or whatever, or talk about what made you smile today, you guys can call in. What's the number, Kyle?
888-909-1050. That is 888-909-1050.
Yes. And for those of you who are just tuning in, it is 15 minutes past the hour. You guys are listening to Whatever Works on KCAA 1050 and Express 106.5. I am your host, Sam Works.
I'm Kyle Kerrigan.
And, of course, we got Joe in the back. He's being super productive. He's a hardworking guy, man. I love him. Anyways, so while we wait for my sister to come back, she actually has a really cool story. Her being the Coast Guard, and I don't want to spoil it for her, but it was on the news. It made it to the news. It was really cool.
Wow.
And I think they were in Haiti. So and
Haiti.
yeah, and I think she's been doing it for a year now in the Coast Guard, and this is like this is her first experience of like rescuing people. So I'm gonna have her tell a story. It's actually really cool. But until then, because she has to do her rounds right now, we're gonna continue on with the questionnaires that I found online. I know this is a podcast, but do you listen to other podcasts?
Not really. Well, actually, yeah, I do. I listen to the Church of What's Happening by Joey Diaz.
I heard of Joey Diaz.
Joey Diaz is one of the funniest comedians that has ever.
Joey, yes, yeah. What is he?
He's
New
like
Jersey?
Cuban,
He's
yeah,
from New Jersey,
yeah, and so yeah, it's from New Jersey. I do listen to his podcast, but there's not really like if I do listen to podcasts, it's like friends or like someone who's like invited me to say, hey, this is what's going on. I know Jake Asai has a good few podcasts that he's doing right now.
He does, yeah. He just did an interview with Nabian,
Yeah, he just did an interview with Nabian.
so it's pretty good. I watched a little segment of it, and he was talking about you can't put too much like sounds or instruments in a song or in a beat.
Yeah.
And Jake Asai, he's like, why is that? And he says it kind of takes away from the artist.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. I mean, coming from a guy, if you guys don't know who Nabian is, he produced music for Kanye West and
Kanye
Drake.
West, Drake. He is Grammy nominated.
Yeah,
So
and we got to meet him
yeah, we got
in
to meet
person.
him.
It was really cool. Very humble dude.
He's a very good friend of mine.
Yeah,
Very very influential to the scene
yeah,
and where everything came from, where I used to come from, the music scene.
yeah. And that was actually a pretty cool night too.
It was.
Like at first, I was a little worried because it's like, okay, is this the place? Because it was like in L.A.
This was like in some back alley warehouse.
Yeah, and that was abandoned. Yeah.
It was abandoned, and then we saw a guard, so we're like, okay, maybe it's over here.
Well, I don't know if he was like really a guard. I mean, he was, but what happened was when we pulled up, we're like, is this the spot? And it was like a dark neighborhood, graffiti everywhere, homeless people.
It was in the what's that district? It was in the arts district, I think.
Yeah, so we're like, we're kind of confused, but we turn on the street, and you see all these really nice cars.
Yeah.
I can't really recall what they had there, but I saw a Range Rover. I saw these Mercedes AMGs.
Yeah, Benz trucks, like just.
Yes, you're like,
everything.
okay, this has to be the spot.
This has to be it.
And we walk in there, and I mean, we're the only
We
white
didn't have
boys.
to pay.
Yeah, that was cool. It was
We
pretty
didn't have to
legit. And you walk down the alleyway. We didn't even talk to the security guard. We just walked right in. Well, actually, he did. He had to check our bags and stuff.
Yeah.
But then you walk in, and it was like they actually really did it up real nice.
They did, yeah. It was a nice stage.
Mm-hmm. And then I remember when we were standing in the back, and we're taking videos and like interviewing people, and there is a lady there who actually used to do a show here on KCAA.
Yeah, I
But
can't remember. Her
She's
name.
now on a different radio program.
Yeah.
I never met her, but I want to say China or something. I don't know. I should have just cut that out. But anyways, no, she's not. No.
Jesus, Joe.
But anyways, so and then Kyle was like, oh dude, that's the guy. That was the guy who was hosting the event.
Yeah.
And very humble dude. He went around, and I want to say there's close to
Shout out to Big Tokes, by the way.
yeah, there's probably like 100 people there at that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, there was.
And he walked in and he greeted everybody.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh dang, this is like all his homies. He even came to us. I mean, Kyle knows him, but he was very friendly to me, and like we introduced each other. So we had a really good time. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. It was really nice.
Another thing to do in LA.
Yeah, definitely.
You hit these spots.
Yeah, hit these spots. There's some good food too.
Yeah.
There's always some good food trucks around.
Honestly, food trucks are the best.
Food trucks are like top tier. I don't know.
So here's another question. Okay, Kyle, how did you meet me, by the way?
Well, I know you through Timmy
Years ago,
years ago.
middle school, right?
This was 7th grade for me.
Let me ask you something real.
Yeah,
How
what's up?
were you in like middle school and high school? Like what was Kyle back then?
Oh, I was a terrible kid.
You're a terrible kid.
I was. Well, I wasn't that bad. Well, comparatively, you know,
Comparatively to who?
I don't
To the
know.
other kids, or like to Timmy, or
Well, no, like I feel like you know we all did some pretty dumb stuff,
right?
but
My-
you know that's some kid things, you know.
Kids will be kids, yeah.
Kids will be kids. You know, I feel like there's some stuff that Timmy and I did that topped the cake
Really?
over the years. Yeah, we did a lot of dumb stuff,
Wow.
and it was mainly me going, Timmy, let's not do that. That's kind of dumb.
But it was Timmy's idea.
All right, Timmy, it's your idea. I don't want you to do it alone.
Yeah.
We would just like hurt each other or do other stuff.
Yeah. No, Timmy is a
But I,
Wild,
you
man.
know, I skipped school a lot. I didn't, you know,
You just didn't care, or
I
what?
didn't care. I didn't really care for school.
Dang. You know, I had a police officer take me and my brother to school one time.
Oh, what happened?
Well, we didn't go to school that day, right? Well, we didn't plan to. And dude, the plan was to go to the gym. You know, I was walking with my brother. We're gonna walk to the gym because we didn't
Yeah.
have cars back then or anything like that. And honestly, I was wearing some busted shoes, some raggedy shorts. Like I was not dressed to go to school. And we're walking down the street, and a cop saw us walk by, and he stops, he pulls over, he's like, "How old are you guys?" And we're like, "Oh, like 15, 16, whatever." He goes, "Where are you guys going?" And I was like,
You should have said to school.
I did. I said, "Oh, we're going to school." He's like, "Well, hop in, I'll give you a ride." I was like, "No,
Oh, you should
like
have
don't
been.
do this, right?" So,
You should have been like, oh, I'm sorry, officer. My mom said I can't talk to strangers.
so that was the only time I sat in the back of a cop car. But when he dropped us off, it was during nutrition, and he pulls up to the front of the school.
Oh,
And then all these kids are like, "Oh, cops are here, da 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 da," and they see me and JC walk out, get out of the car, and then we had
it's
to
the Works brothers.
right, and we had to walk to the office to like sign in because we were late, whatever. And everyone's like, "What'd you do? What'd you do?" And I was like, "Nothing, bro. I didn't do anything." And it wasn't Officer Lugo, but he was talking to us in the car, right? Because he was a cool cop. He was just giving us a ride to school, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, "You know what? It's like a pet peeve of mine." I was like, "What's that?" And he goes, "When cars don't pass me up. Like, I will drive slower than the speed limit, and cars will still not pass me.
Yeah.
Like, just keep going. Drive the speed limit, you
Yeah.
know?"
Yeah.
And that stuck with me. So a couple months ago, I went dancing at Stampede in Temecula, and I was coming home.
Yeah.
I was one exit away, and I see this cop driving on the freeway, just me and him. And I looked at my speedometer. I was going 73, 75. Like I see the cop. I'm not gonna speed.
Yeah.
You know, I acknowledge that. Like I'm like, okay, like whatever. And my buddy, he's like, "Bro, pass the cop. Pass the cop." I'm like, "Dude, what?" But I was going the speed limit, and I was creeping up.
Yeah.
So I was like, "All right, stay in the speed limit," and I'm just driving right past him. And this cop comes right behind me and lights me up, pulls me over.
What?
And I was like, and I was just thinking back at that day when that cop took me to school, and he was like, "I don't like, it's a pet peeve of mine when people don't pass me," you know?
Yeah.
So I was like nonchalantly just gonna pass him. I wasn't speeding. On everything, I wasn't speeding.
So what happened?
So, you know, I went dancing. You know, I had liquid courage in me a little bit. But I like, it was hours after. And I went driving home from Temecula. You know, like, I sobered up pretty much by then.
Yeah.
He pulls me over, and my my boy in the back, he did not make it. He was like, eyes rolled back, tongue sticking out of his mouth, drooling, just passed out in the back. And my other friend, he was scared, right? And I'm like, "Dude, just shut up. Just like, let me handle this, you know?" The cop, he like flashlights my buddy and just beams him in the face, and he's just like in the back, like unconscious, you know. And like this cop, he was like, dude, like can't say it on the radio, but like you're an idiot, like you're stupid. He's like, why would you pass up a cop? And I didn't want to explain to him, what was it a cop? You know what I mean? Like I wasn't gonna give him the rundown, so I was like, sorry, sir. And he was like, I know you've been drinking, like your cheeks are blushed and your eyes are glossy. He's like, you been drinking? I was like, yes, sir. He's like, where you come from? I said, Temecula. And he knew I was telling the truth.
Yeah.
He just looked at me, looked at my boy in the back. He was like, where you live? I was like, right up the street. Like, this was my exit, basically. He's like, just go home. He's like, and don't be a dummy. Don't pass up a cop. I was like, yes, sir.
So don't pass up cops.
Don't, you know?
I've never been afraid of. Well, I'm white, but no, I'm just
Bro, I was
73?
going no faster than 75. Well, technically, the speed limit on the freeway is 65.
That's true.
All right, Joe. All right, I guess I was speeding. There you go. But was he not speeding either then? It doesn't matter what the cops do. You're right.
That's true. Yeah, because he can't arrest himself.
Okay, you're right. I'm wrong.
Hey, no,
And I take full responsibility.
White. Oh, I got a story for you.
Maybe if it was that.
I got a story for you.
Just kidding.
So I got my license. Okay, this is the day I got my license.
The day you got your license.
Okay, I went to the DMV at Banning. I took my test, and then they gave you that paper license, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you put in your car until you get your actual, like, your plastic one. I pulled out of the DMV. 2 lights later, I get lit up. I pull over.
What?
All right. And the cop goes, hey, you look a little young to be driving. How old are you? I was like, sir, I'm 16. I just got my license.
Like
He's
2 lights
like-
ago?
He was like, you just got your license. And you're 16. I don't believe you. And so I pulled out my license. I pulled out the registration, handed it to him. He was like,
Okay.
He's like, I still don't know whether to believe you or not. And I was like, I don't know. I said something that was on the test. I don't remember what it was. It was like a question. I was like, ask me, any question from the test. The driving. He's like, driving test? I don't know any questions from that. I was like, just look one up, give it to me. If I get it right, then we're good. He's like, okay, that's fair. And I don't know what he asked me, but I got it right.
Nice.
He's like, okay, all right, big man, you can go. I was like, all right. And so I went home, and my mom was like, did you get pulled over? Were you speeding? I was like, no, I didn't do anything wrong. She's like, well, if you didn't do anything wrong, why'd you get pulled over? I was like, oh, Mom.
Come my looks, Mom. I look like a criminal. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
See, I got pulled over in front of my house one time. Embarrassing, bro. For no reason. This is why. So my buddy. No. So my friend, he used to drive a 1987 Cadillac. It's a boat. It's this big old thing, but it's all rusted out. There's no paint. It looks beat up, but it's a pimp car. All right. We had even dice like in the.
Oh, that's amazing.
It was cool, bro. It was out of its time though. It was like white leather seats, but it was just beat up. Like it was embarrassing at first. Like when we went to school, his crush was like, "Hey, can I get a ride?" And he was like, But she fell in love with it. And then like people, like at the gas station, like guys are like, that's a piece of history. Like it's an amazing car, but it's beat up and it looks like some gangsters would be riding it. Looks like it should be on like hydraulics and airbags and whatnot. So we get food, and down the street from my house, there was like this roundabout, and like we don't want to eat at the house because there's people there, like whatever, like my parents and all that stuff. So we're just kicking it. We're just kicking in the car, 2 boys hanging out, eating Burger King or something, right? Cars are driving by, and then he takes me home, and he pulls up from my house, and a cop just lights me up. And this was like dusk, right? So like everyone in my neighborhood just like came out to see what happened. And this cop came out aggressive. He was like, I forgot what he said. He was like, "What are you doing?" Like da 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 da. And I was like, I pulled out my bag of Burger King. I was like, we're eating, sir. This guy got complaints, multiple calls from people saying that we were, I don't know, doing something like down the street. And I was like, we were just eating. He's like, why don't you just eat at home? And I was like, well, sir, I didn't want to be home because like everyone's home, you know? So like all my neighbors, my parents are like, what'd you do? Like, what happened? Da, da, da. I was like, absolutely nothing, you know? But we did look sketch because it was like this roundabout and just the way the car looked and stuff, you know? And like two guys looked like we were like staking out doing something.
Yeah.
But it was just, honestly, I would, you know, it was suspicious. I ain't gonna lie, but we honestly weren't doing anything.
I got one of my friends off the hook for speeding.
Really?
Yeah, we were both coming from a costume party actually. And
Another Halloween story, huh?
Yeah, it wasn't actually on Halloween this time. It was before.
Okay.
It was like a week or two before. And so I dressed up as James Bond. So I had a suit. Yeah, I had the full tux, pants, everything. And my buddy, he dressed up as one of the Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
And so, you know, and we're both going home, and he gets pulled over for speeding. And he calls me. He's like, "Hey, I'm getting pulled over for speeding. Can you come pick me up? They're probably gonna take the car because there's no insurance." So I was like, "All right." So he gets pulled over, and he sends me his location. I go there, and I was like, you know what? I wonder if this will work. I'm going to pretend to be his lawyer.
His lawyer?
Yeah.
Oh, because you're in the full suit?
And
okay, I like that.
Here's what happened. So I get out. I was like, hi, excuse me, officer. He goes, officer, whatever. I was like, hi, officer. Is there a reason why you pulled my client over? And he's like, client? He was like, yeah, he was speeding. I was like, sir, this doesn't look very good. You know, he is, you know, he's a minority. You know, are you sure you really want to go down this route that he was speeding? And officer was like, don't do this. You know, I'm about to take you in as well.
No kidding.
And I was like, okay, well, we'll play it this way. I'm gonna get a hold of the news van. I'm gonna get a hold of some people, and then, you know, we'll go in the way we want to go in. And, huh?
He's a lawyer, apparently.
And he just looks at me. And he looks at him. And he goes, "I'll be right back." And he walks. And I was pretending to talk to him. And I handed him, you know, my briefcase that had like, I wasn't gonna say anything, but there was a fake gun in the briefcase because it's James Bond.
Because it's James Bond.
You know, there was a hole in the side. The gun was supposed to fit there, and it was supposed to shoot darts.
Oh my gosh, bro!
So he didn't open the briefcase, but I pretended to hand, you know, my client the briefcase.
You handed him a gun. Imagine that, dude.
And no one opened it. No one ever opened it. And then he gave it to me back, and I handed him some papers that were from my car. They were just bills. And then the cop was looking at me like, and he goes, yeah, I'm gonna let your client off with a warning, but the next time this happens, we'll expect to see you in court. I was like, okay, thank you.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding, bro. I'm gonna have to tell my dad about this.
Yeah.
That is so crazy.
I don't know how I pulled it off, but I did everything in the moment.
You're amazing. Anyways, guys, we are we've been taking forever, and I got that cue.
From the Bureau of Economic Geology, this is Earth Date. You've probably used GPS today in ways you don't even know about. Of course, your smartphone is a miracle of GPS navigation. It receives data from a network of 31 satellites orbiting 12,000 miles above us. At least 4 of them are visible from any place on Earth at any time. It uses that data to pinpoint your location to within 10 feet. It's pretty amazing. But there are many other ways that GPS impacts our lives. It helps airline pilots and ship captains stay on course. It helps taxis find their fares and military missions find their targets. And it plays important roles in bank transactions and power grids. In fact, because the GPS satellite network is even more stable than the shifting surface of the planet, scientists now use it to track continental plate movement. It shows that Australia moves as fast as fingernails grow, about 3 inches a year, while Hawaii holds the record, moving toward Japan at 4 inches a year. Geodetic surveys correct GPS coordinates for the shifting Earth and send updates to our devices on demand. And the whole thing is about to get more precise. The next generation of GPS will use both satellite and ground stations to be accurate to within 1 inch. We'll need it, as future technologies like driverless cars, delivery drones, and things we can't even yet imagine rely on GPS for increasing precision. I'm Scott Tinker, located precisely in Austin, and thanks for listening.
Earth Date is produced by the Bureau of Economic Geology at the University of Texas at Austin. Earth Date is researched by Julie Hennings, written by Harry Lynch, and distributed by Mark Blunt and Casey Walker. For more stories, follow us on Facebook or visit earthdate.org.
Open for takeout and delivery, El Tapiac Mexican food restaurant in the Tri-City Center of Redlands is back. Their entire family is on hand to serve up their delicious burritos, machaca, chorizo, huevos rancheros, steak and eggs, just part of their mouth-watering great food. Since 1531, people have marveled at the miracle of El Tapiac, and now you can marvel at the great food the Lugo family has been serving up for over 2 decades, nestled quietly in the corner of the Tri-City Center shopping mall next to Burlington Coat Factory. Support them. They can't wait to serve you some of their delectable, authentic, south-of-the-border Mexican fare at great prices, served up with love. Support the area's best-loved Mexican food restaurant in these tough times. Order up a tasty meal on the phone for delivery or takeout for breakfast, lunch, or dinner from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Call 909-307-0017. That's 909-307-0017, or Google El Tapiac Redlands and treat yourself.
Tahibo Tea Club's original Pure Pau Arco Super Tea comes from the only tree in the world that fungus does not grow on. As a result, it naturally has antifungal, anti-infection, antiviral, antibacterial, anti-inflammation, and anti-parasite properties. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps build the immune system, and it can truly be miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. The tea is also organic and naturally caffeine-free. A 1-pound package of tea is $49.95, which includes shipping. To order, please visit TahiboTeaClub.com. Tahibo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy, O, then continue with the word tea and then the word club. The complete website is TahiboTeaClub.com, or call us at 818-610-8088, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. California time. That's 818-610-8088, TahiboTeaClub.com.
Bob Vila here with my home improvement tip of the day. For decades now, if you wanted a smooth, resilient finish on a table you were painting, you turned to oil-based paints. They stuck to the finish better than water-based. They left fewer brush marks, and they created a rock-hard finish. But with the drawbacks to oil-based paint, long drying times, more difficult cleanup, along with health and environmental concerns, consumers have been increasingly choosing latex and acrylic paints instead. So, are they selling for a subpar finish? Not anymore. Paint producers have been fiddling with new additives that help water-based paints mimic the good qualities of their oil-based cousins, but without the health concerns. In fact, development of acrylic paints has progressed to the point where many products actually surpass the performance of oil-based. Bottom line, new water-based and acrylics combine the best of 2 worlds, and that makes them worth a serious look when you're planning your next painting project. Get more info at bobvila.com and right here at home with me, Bob Vila.
I'm Kyle Kerrigan.
And I am so happy to be here, you guys. I got my sister on the line. She's going to tell us a story. Or she can just hear this funny story that Kyle was telling us.
Okay.
Listen, if you guys are just tuning in, go back and listen to
the
like
cops.
you can even speed up the time. Like go to like 7:20 and listen to like the first 10 minutes. Like it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, talk about recap real quick about what the story was before break, and then I just want to say something.
All right, so let me just start off by saying this. I'm really good at coursing, or getting people to like think a certain way. And so I used to do it as a kid for fun. And nowadays, I got, morality issues and different things like that. Obviously, I don't really, I was like, it's not really moral to do it. But so the story before the break I had told was I had a costume on, James Bond costume on for a costume party, and my friend was dressed up as one of the Ninja Turtles. He drank a little bit, and so he smelled a little bit like beer, and then he was speeding. And he calls me after he gets pulled over. He's like, "Hey, I need you to go to this location I'm gonna send you. I need you to come pick me up, 'cause the car that I have is, it's not even in my name. It's in my dad's name, but it's not registered. So they're gonna take the car." So I was like, "Okay." Well, just to recap, I pulled up and I pretended I was his lawyer, and ended up getting him off the hook.
Yes.
And so I have another instance like that where I was in college and I needed money. I was in between jobs, and so there wasn't really a lot going on with Class City station at the time. There wasn't really a lot of shows, so I was like, you know what? I need to go to this. There's a discussion group, outside, like during the town hall meeting of Azusa. So this was in Azusa. It was $30 for 2 hours. Cool, I'll go do it. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have a little fun with this, Sam. I was like, I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna pretend to be someone else for 2 hours, and I'm gonna see, what I could pull off.
How far you can take it?
How far I could take it. And so we go to the discussion group, and the person giving the discussion is like asking us questions. We're all going around. I'm trying to remember the name I used. I was like, Richard something. My name is Richard something. I'm a CEO for a Silicon Valley business. And everyone was like, "Oh, whoa, that's cool."
Right.
They're like, "Oh, okay, well, what does your business do?" I was like, "Well, we sell third party microchips to like Microsoft, the phones that you use have these microchips in them." And I was like, I started as doing maintenance, and I worked my way up, and I run the company now. And they're like, wow, and so we're all going through it, and the guy giving the question was kind of sus. He was like, for where you grew up and what you're doing, he's like, this doesn't really make sense, but I'll believe you. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, believe me.
And so we were going to this discussion group, and we were getting into these like groups, and I was like giving like advice to everybody. I was like, if you want to be successful, you got to do this. If you want to be successful, you got to do that. And I was like, work hard, sleep a certain amount of hours, drink your milk.
Drink your milk.
And so I was like, I hit the thing went down.
Yeah.
I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, it's either you fall back in the chair or the chair goes down.
And so, we all break out of this discussion, and this girl that was with me, or this woman, she was like, I'm gonna tell Richard's story on how he grew up. And I was like, I grew up poor, I grew up in the projects, and I moved my way up. I had to work for everything. I worked at like 8 years old. I was like giving this story out.
Okay.
And so I was like, there's no way I'm gonna remember all this. I think I went too far. And this lady is telling my story. So I was like, so now I'm remembering the facts that I told.
Right. Air quotes, facts, yeah.
Air quotes. And she's like, I think we need more people like Richard here. And everyone in the group was clapping.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah.
That's right, clap.
And the main guy, or the guy giving the the focus group questions, he was like, you know what, sir, I don't really believe you. I don't really believe that you run a Silicon Valley business. And I was like, oh, well, what do you mean? I work from the ground up. I know exactly what it means to run a business. I've met all these cool people. You can't tell me what I haven't seen. He's like, you're just BSing me. And there's a guy who sat it's like this big table. he sat like a few
Seats away.
seats
Chairs.
away. And he gets up. He's like, "You can't talk to a businessman like that."
The CEO.
Yeah, like a CEO, businessman. You can't talk to people that way. And I get up. I was like, "You can't talk to me that way." And so, people on the focus group are getting mad. He's getting mad.
No kidding.
Yeah, he's like, let's try to take it back, but no one's having it. I was like, you know what, guys? We should leave here. I remember this. We should leave here and do what we want to do in life. And everyone was like, yeah. And so
started a riot, imagine.
And so everyone left the group. And so at the end, I was like, you know what? You could take that $30 and you can give it to charity.
No kidding.
I was like, I don't need the money.
Really, you did? You're like,
But really, I did. So I was like, oh, man. But the experience was worth it.
Heck yes, dude. Awesome.
It's
That is so crazy, dude.
yeah.
I wish I could do something like that. I just told Kyle he's like Leonardo DiCaprio from Catch Me If You Can. Like, literally pretending to be a lawyer to get his buddy out of a speeding ticket and then pretending to be a CEO with what? It's crazy. All right, Richard.
Right.
Anyways, hey, is my sister plugged in? Can we pull her through? Hey, Riri, how you doing?
Oh. Hello?
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can
Can you
me?
hear us?
I can barely hear you, but I think I can
Okay.
make it work.
Did you hear Kyle's story?
I did. The Richard story?
Oh my gosh. He got
That's pretty funny.
That is hilarious.
Pulled it off.
Yeah.
He was on to you, though.
He was from the beginning. But the goal is if you can convince enough people to believe your story, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
they were all on your side at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you heard about his lawyer story, right, with his James Bond outfit?
I did not. I have to go back.
Yeah, go back.
And
it's pretty
re-listen
funny.
to that
He got his
part.
buddy out of getting a speeding ticket.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He was dressed up as James Bond because it was like for Halloween, and he pretended to be his lawyer. And he talked the cop out of getting his friend a speeding ticket, which is pretty
Oh
funny.
my
And he didn't
God.
have car insurance, which is crazy. So, Rhiannon, I want you to tell your story give us a story about what happened, being in the Coast Guard.
Oh, man.
I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to. We only got like 5 minutes anyways, but I think you have a pretty cool
I want
story.
to reserve that for like a whole nother episode.
Okay. I like that. Yeah.
Because I don't know, the time difference, it's 10 o'clock over here. I'm
Okay.
about to go to sleep.
Okay. Makes sense. Well, close your eyes, go to sleep, and listen to KCAA, whatever works. I'm just kidding. All right. Well,
Okay.
hey, thanks for calling, Rhiannon. I appreciate you. Love you.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
She only called so I can tell her goodbye. That's funny. I like it. Anyway, so we only got 5 more minutes. Dude, I have never done that before. Never conned anybody like that.
It's fun.
I mean, I have, like, I've joked around a lot when I go to parties and stuff, and, like, guys or, like, people I just met, like, when we're all talking and mingling, I'm like, dude, me and this guy go way back, like, since, like, 2nd grade, and I just make up BS stories all the time, but I never try to, like, impersonate.
Do
like,
it on a bigger scale, like when it's more serious. It's a lot of fun.
For sure. Like,
But,
maybe I should go to a college and be, like, a teacher for one day or something.
My morality is like better now, so I don't even think about doing that kind of stuff.
Unless maybe you have to or something.
Unless you have to,
I don't know.
If it's fight or flight, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, you're like, I got this.
I got this in the bag.
That's pretty
But
cool.
as a college student that was like really desperate for some like McDonald's money or something.
Yeah.
I the whole thing that motivated me, Sam. I was hungry. I was like, I don't feel like walking to the, you had to park the car if there was a parking space, and you had to walk like 15 minutes to the quad to get food. I was like, I didn't feel like doing that. So I was like, coming up with this thing would be a lot funnier if I pulled it off. And I did. They ended up paying me my money.
And you pulled it off, dude.
Yeah.
That's a good one, guys. I enjoy listening to Kyle's stories, dude. Like, You're insane, bro. The more I get to know you, the more
Yeah.
crazy you are, you know. How concerned we are, he says. That's very true. That's a better way of saying it. Yeah, for sure.
There's there's another cool story when actually Faran was on that I told
2 minutes.
About my friend Fat Boy Slim. And
Yeah.
so you should go back and listen to that one. That's another good story that I like to tell.
Yeah. Hey, if you guys like our show and want to support us, follow our Instagram page. I haven't posted anything in a while. Some things are in the mix, but we'll keep it going. We have some videos and stuff, but we are about
Our
to.
links to all our social media is on KCAA whateverworks.com. You can go there right now. Links to everything.
That's the way to do it, guys. So, hey, we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Stay safe. Happy Sunday. You guys are listening to Whatever Works, but stay tuned because we got Faran coming on at the 8 o'clock hour.
Yeah, stay tuned.
And he has some pretty good stuff. Are you doing sports or what are you doing today?
A mixture, yeah.
Okay, a mixture. Okay, cool. That's the best way.
fun.
All right, you guys. Stay safe. Have fun. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.